Now we are back to create our leather material. And for the starting point, I'm going to search leather resources in Substance Community Asset. So I came over to Substance 3D Community Asset website. And in here, I'm going to search leather. So I need SPSAR format for the base material. And here, the leather rough is good starting point for this project. So I open the file, as you can see, and let's back to the Substance Painter. So importing resources in Substance Painter in the latest version, it's so simple. You can click and drag anything you want and release it in the layers window. Okay, so the leather rough is loaded and we need to put it in the leather section. And now we can delete the fill layer number 1. Okay, so in the old time during this tutorial, the shader setting and displacement and tessellation should be turned on, because in this way we can control our height data which provide our displacement. Okay, so let's go back to the project and everything is good here. Let's start tweaking the parameter here. So for the first parameter, I'm going to create the color and tweak the color over here. And for the UV projection, I'm going to use triplanar with the tiling number 2. In this way, I can have a good density here. And if you are suffering from the low quality in the viewport, you can come over here in the setting and increase the size to, for example, 2K. Okay, so everything is okay right now. And we can switch to 3D view, just only 3D view. So let's go back to the parameter of the leather material, and the roughness, I need something like 0.3. Yeah, it's better right now. And for the dot intensity, maybe I can decrease the amount of dot intensity. As you can see, it's affected on the base color, and I don't want it because I need some clean and not dirty leather over here. So for the white stain, I think the intensity is good. Let's decrease. Yeah, I think the higher amount is better. And for the small stain, we can play with the parameter. No, I think this value is good. So let's go to the technical parameters. And now maybe decreasing the height range is a good option here because we are using displacement modeling technique inside Painter. So the height data, it's so important for us. Okay, this is the first layer. And now we can create another fill layer. I'm going to call it pattern for leather or for the surface. They are the same. The name should be something that you can understand what's happening inside that layer. It's not mandatory, but there is no naming rules for this kind of stuff. Okay, for the pattern, I need just height. And let's create a black mask because I'm going to control the amount of the height for this layer with this slider here. And for the pattern, let's create a sub layer. The type should be fill. And in the grayscale, I can search grunge leather. Okay, so grunge leather, yeah, it's good. And let's increase the amount of the height. Okay, something like 0.01. Yeah, and let's go back here. I need triplanar projection. Okay, and let's increase the tiling amount. Now we have a good surface pattern here, and let's go to the next layer. For the next layer, I'm going to create the edge damage layer because I need to create some damage effect around here, but it's not too much because, as I told you, I need a clean version of the leather, okay, not dirty or damaged one. So for this one, we can keep color, height, and roughness at the same time. And for the color, let's bring up the white value and let's decrease the height amount to something like negative 0.02, for example, for the start point. And for the roughness, it should be more rough. So I think around 0.8 is good amount. Okay, now I'm going to change the blending mode of the base color to soft light. So in this way, I can have a brighter version, a lighter version of the leather. And whenever you damage something, the under layer, it should be lighter or maybe darker in some special cases. So let's create a black mask. And in here, we are going to create some sublayer top of each other and change blending mode to achieve what we want. So for the first, I need to add a generator. So let's increase the space here so you can see what happened. And here, edge damage is a good starting point. Okay, and let's decrease the blur level. Okay, increase edge smooth and turn on triplanar for grunge and increase grunge amount a little bit and decrease the grunge scale. And to avoid generic result, I mean to avoid something like generated by computer, we need to cut off some of the edge. Okay, so the mask, it's so complete and it's so straight. So let's add another fill layer here, and in the grayscale, I'm going to type grunge, and for example, I'm going to use this grunge. Yeah, maybe, and put it on the subtrack. So increase the tiling, increase the balance and contrast, play with the offset. Yeah, and here I can increase the wear level. Okay, so before that, all the edges have the same amount of the damage. So it's not good, it's not realistic. So we just add another fill layer and load some random grunge and put the blending mode to subtract, and boom, we have more realistic effect. And if you want to have a damagey version, you can decrease the balance over here and you can still have some pattern here. But we want to have clean version. So let's increase the balance. And now we have a good amount of the damage over the edge. So the next step is using warp filter. Warp filter can give us some custom effect. So let's add warp effect. And as you can see, this is a result with warp and without warp. So in the warp, we can increase the intensity divider to have some more control of the intensity slider. And we can change some parameters in the source parameters. For example, source tiling, it can increase our noise tile. Okay, that's it. And you can play with the source builder to have some specific result. So let's increase the intensity to something like this. And after that, I'm going to add another fill layer and let's have some grunge leak. Maybe this one. Yeah. And increase tiling to something like 5 and increase contrast to have solid effect and increase balance again. Okay. Maybe play with the offset value. That's it. And change the blending mode to subtract again, because where is the subtract? Okay. Because in this way, we can filter the damage on the edge with some random noise. Okay, so let's play with the tiling amount and the offset to achieve the look that we want. So I think it's good. It's completely procedural. It means you can come over to the sublayers and change the parameters. For example, play with the seed option, and every time you can get new variation of the effect. So I'm going to add another fill layer, and let's type leather, and with the grunge leather damage, which you can see, I can invert it. Okay, decrease the balance, increase the contrast, and increase the tiling amount. Okay, for example, something like 5, I think it's good. So let's decrease the balance and increase the contrast. And let's change the blending mode to linear dodge. So in this way, I can have this effect on the surface and on the edge at the same time. But maybe we can put it under grunge leak to avoid generic look. Okay, so let's play with the tiling amount. Yeah, for example, this one is better. Okay, decrease the balance and maybe decrease the opacity of this layer. So let's go back to the material mode. Yeah, and this is the version of the leather without edge damage, and this is the version with the edge damage. So that's it. So let's create another fill layer here, and I'm calling dust surface. For the dust surface, I need some effect overall on the surface. And for that, I just need color, height, and roughness. And for the roughness, I should choose something like 0.5. And for the height, maybe a little negative value is good. And for the color, I'm going to create a black color for this layer. And for the blending mode, you need to change it to multiply and decrease the amount of the opacity. So this is the result. And in the black mask, I'm going to add a generator like dirt. Okay, so this is the result. As we can see, there is some dirt over here. Yeah, and that's it. So let's add some pattern on the for the strap over here. So let's create a fill layer, and I'm calling strap pattern, and create black mask, and put a fill layer here. And in the grayscale, I'm going to search for a strip. Yeah, and let's increase the tiling amount to something like 30. Yeah, the strip is good. And for the pattern, you can use the same default value, so it's good. And maybe 25 is better. And we can increase the width. Okay, and we need to control the mask on the strap itself. So how we should do that? You can do it in two different methods. The first one is to subtract all the area that we don't want, and the second one is select the area that we want, and after that we can multiply the strip on that. So let's subtract, and in the polygon field you are going to UV chunk and select all the item here. Okay, and press X to invert the selection mode and press the area that we want. It's easy, right? So we should keep subtract on the top, and we are going to add more detail under the paint layer that we subtract the area that we don't want. So this is good. Let's go back to the material mode, and here I just need height, and we can increase the height amount. As you can see in the viewport, you can see the result of the displacement, right? So I think this amount is good. Okay, so let's add another detail here. I just need to have some line over here. So for creating this effect, I need to add a fill layer and load a gradient, something like gradient linear number 2. And for controlling the position of that, we need to turn off UV wrap. And the mode should be on none. And now we can play with the gradient itself. So we need to find the front strap UV island, which is here. Let's press F1 to go back to the 2D and the 3D view at the same time. And let's go back to the mask mode. So everything is okay. I'm going to decrease the size. Yeah. And a little smaller. And increase the length. Okay. So this is the detail that I want. Let's decrease the width. Yeah. duplicate the gradient linear number 2 and put it over here. So that's it. And let's go back to the material mode. And as you can see, we have our result. But it's not good, it's not connected to the surface. It's because we don't have any ambient occlusion right now, but we are going to add it with anchor point technique. So before adding AO to our material, let's create some control layer. I'm going to create a paint layer here and name it control layer. And I'm going to change the blending mode to pass in the all channel. Okay. So in the all channel right now, I have pass blending mode for control layer. And when you change the blending mode to pass, it's going to collect all the data from below layers and gather it to itself. So now we can edit all the data related to base color in here. So I'm going to add a filter over here. And this filter is HSL. And now I can control the hue, saturation, and lightness here with this filter in this layer for the leather material. So it's so powerful technique to control our material attributes. So another filter that I want to use, it's contrast. Okay. With that, I can increase contrast in my data, but I just need it in the color section. So I'm going to press Alt and click on the color, and it's going to turn off all the channels, but not color. Okay. So in this way, I can control the contrast, luminosity, and hue, saturation, and lightness at the same time. Beside that, in the height channel, now I have all the data from the down layers. Okay. So let's create an anchor point. Now I can use the height data in the micro details in all generators. Okay, so for that, let's create another fill layer. In this fill layer, I'm going to call it edge effect. And now I'm going to add a black mask. In the black mask, I'm going to add a generator. And I'm going to load metal edge generator over here. And here, as you can see, the data that I apply on the model, they are not recognized with the generator. So how can we solve this problem? We have a control layer anchor point. That means I can access to all height data in this layer, okay? Because I can recall it, this anchor point, and access to a specific channel that I want. So in here, in the metal edge wear, I can go down in micro height. In the anchor point section, I can select anchor point control layer. Okay, and I'm going to change reference channel to the high. Okay, this height reference channel, it means now I'm going to use the data in the control layer in the height channel. Okay, so let's go to macro details and turn on macro height, and now you can see what happened in the 3D view. So this is the solid result from metal edgeware. Okay, it's going to calculate the edges and all the effects based on mesh maps that we have here, something like ambient occlusion, curvature, position, and border space normal. But I can use the height data in the project in this generator without baking in the first stage from high poly. Okay, so now I can access to my data in the height channel with macro details in the height channel and normal channel. And here I'm using displacement modeling. So my data and my details, they are in the height channel. Now I can use that in the macro height with the macro details in the generator. So let's turn it on and we can play with these sliders to achieve the different result. You can change the way to calculate the height data from Sobel, smooth, and standard. As you can see, there is a difference between them. You can try it and you can select which one is better for your project and for your result that you want. Okay, so let's tweak some parameters here. Now you can use edge masking. It's good. And I'm going to decrease grunge amount and grunge scale and wear level. Okay, so let's decrease the wear level and increase intensity of the curvature. Okay, that's good. And now I can decrease the ground, maybe a little bit lower in the wear level. I can increase the wear contrast. Yeah, in this layer, I need the effect on the details in the displacement and height, not on the edge of the model. So that's good. We can add a paint layer and change the blending mode to the subtract and paint over these edges to remove the effect that we don't want. Okay, so the white here, it's going to remove everything, and the black is going to revert that effect. So let's paint over here to remove this effect. Yeah, it's okay. Now we can come back to the metal edge and bring up the wear level. Yeah, grunge scale, grunge amount, and we can decrease the curvature intensity. Yeah, and yeah, it's good. Now we can add another fill layer with some random grunges in this grayscale, like this. For example, this one, and increase the tiling, increase the contrast and the balance. Maybe a little bit tiling amount is good. And now we can subtract that. Okay, now we can see the effect. Maybe change this grunge is a good idea. Let me see which one is better. For example, this one. Yeah, it's better. Okay, and now let's come back to the layer itself. We don't want any data except color and roughness. So for the roughness, we need to increase the data, and for the color, we can use white value. And in the blending mode, I'm going to change it to soft light. Okay, so now we can decrease. That's it. Yeah, everything is good. Everything is good. We can come over here, add a paint, and we can change this sub-layer of the paint to linear dodge. And let's go to the asset browser. And in here, maybe using some brushes to add some details, it's a good idea. Something like this. For example, this one. And let's add a little height. Negative height is good, but it's too much. Yeah, it's better. Okay, let's go back here. Some details over here. Okay, that's good. Maybe some details here. Yeah, and we can play with this amount of the detail. You can add some white value with different brushes, and after that you can subtract the value with the black, and in this way you can create most unique effect in your project on your asset. So let's do this one here as well. Okay, that's it. That's good. So yeah, okay, that's good. That's good for now. Maybe after adding other materials on the model, we can come back here and change the value of the edge effect. So that's good for now. And let's go back to the HSL and maybe a little changing value in the color. It's a good idea. And in contrast, yeah. And we can decrease the luminosity. And yeah, the effect is so good. So let's add the AO effect that we want. So in here, I'm going to add a fill layer, which I'm going to call it AO plus, because I'm going to add AO for this material, for this part in this layer. So I just need AO, and I'm going to decrease the AO. So let's add the black mask, and let's go to the AO channel. Okay, this is the ambient occlusion that we have right now. And I'm going to add a generator, and this generator should be ambient occlusion. So I'm going to invert it. As you can see, this is the best result. And I'm going to use again of macro details. So in the macro details, I'm going to use macro height because we have the data for the details in the height channel. So I'm going to add control layer, and in the reference channel, I'm going to pick height. So everything is good. Everything is good. Now we have all the data that we want here. But as you can see, we add some details over here, but they are not integrated with the AO. So what is the problem? Why they didn't integrate with this AO? Because it's related to our layer order. As you can see, we have control layer. And in this control layer, we gather all the data in the height channel, right? But this edge effect, which it contains all data for this effect over here, it's higher than this control layer. So we need to change this order layer from top to down of the control layer. But this is the most erroric movement that we can do because we are using control layer in the edge effect. And if we move that here, this connection is going to disconnect it. And with that, we don't have edge effect anymore. So we need to keep it here, and we can call it height leather. And after that, we are going to change the blending mode to pass and apply to all the channels. So let's add another anchor point here. And with that, we are going to load this high leather in the macro height, not control layer. Okay, so in this way, we can contribute this effect over here. As you can see, I can go here and add some data here, and they are integrated with the AO plus. So that's it. That's it for this part. Let's press M, and this is the effect without AO, and this is the effect with AO. Now we can control the AO amount with opacity in here for this AO plus layer in ambient occlusion channel. Okay, so let's bring it to something like 70. Now you can control the amount of the AO with this slider too, but I prefer to use this slider, opacity slider in the layer itself. Okay, I think that for the leather part, it's enough to add details because we are main focus on the logo and the fabric part, and the leather, it shouldn't have so many detail on itself. And for the final part, I'm going to use Has tool to add my stitching on the leather part. Okay, after edge effect, I'm going to add another paint layer and call it pass stitches. And let's go back to the base channel. Okay, now I'm going to use pass tool, and in the asset, let's go and select top stitching to load the tools over here. And now I'm going to decrease the size to something like 2, and let's add the details here. Okay, that's good because our height and displacement is turned on in the viewport. We can see what is the effect after using the top stitching. So I'm going to change the parameter over here. I am going to turn on normal AO and turn off the height. Okay, so for the third thickness, I think 0.2 is enough. For the stitching, I'm going to use size in 0.75. Yeah, it's better. And let's go and turn on the height channel. And in technical parameters section, I'm going to decrease the height range. In this way, I can control what happened in the height. Okay, that's good. That's good. And maybe increase the size to 3. Let's see what is the result. Yeah, I think 3 is good, but maybe 2 is better. Yeah, I think 2 is better. So let's go back here and adjust the position. Okay, so the main part is done. After that, you can see the time lapse that I just placing the dots for the pass, and you can see what's happening in the progress. Okay, now we have our pass layers, and we can control the blending mode for the color in here. I'm going to use soft light, and let's add a filter. The filter should be HSL, and I'm going to increase the lightness. Yeah, something like this. Okay. And let's go back to the pass. I'm going to turn off all the layers because I want to recheck it, everything. Okay, this is the pass one. And let's create whiter value. Okay. And I'm going to decrease the soft light to something like 50 or 70. Okay. And for the thickness, maybe 25. It's better. And let's go back to the height range. Maybe I can decrease the height and increase the normal. Okay, the normal is too strong. 2, 1. Yeah, 1 is good. Okay, and let's go to the puckering setting. I'm going to change the type to leather. Yeah, the effect is so much better. It's so much better. And we can increase the intensity or decrease the intensity. The intensity is good. Let's play with the fading effect. Yeah, a little fading. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's very good. So I need this style. I need these parameters and settings on all layers of the path. So I'm going to copy and paste brush properties on each layer. Okay. So as you can see, yeah, everything is procedural. Okay. So for the pass 4, I'm going to paste it. Pass 5. Okay. And for the pass 6. And now I need to change the pass 6 to something else. Okay, so let's go to the decorative. And in the decorative, maybe elastic over lock stitch. Yeah, it's good. I need to inverse it. Increase the size to something like 4 or maybe 5. Yeah, 5 is better. And now everything is good. And we can decrease the amount of the opacity of the color, or maybe change it to normal and have white value, and add filter HSL and control the lightness here like this. Okay, that's good for now for me. And this is the end part for the leather, and we should go to the metal part and create our material in the metal.